I think everybody knows, was, I will call him the reluctant candidate. He was drafted.
No, I'm really excited about this.
He was drafted by the residents of District 2 from all areas of District 2 because we need made in Marin solutions to preserve our small town character and our rural and suburban landscapes, and to protect our natural resources and to respect our limitations, to live within our limitations, not to grow beyond them. We're not San Francisco, we're not the Peninsula, and we're not the East Bay, and I don't think any of us in this room wants to become that. And that's why we're here. Oh, and speaking of why we're here, I want to introduce as well somebody else, Susan Kirsch. Make sure you give that same round of applause to Kevin.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
But we were told before she's prettier, so. Anyway, as for Kevin, the man of the hour, he has 30 years of experience as an environmental lawyer. He's very well respected in his field, and I would know because I too am a lawyer. He has practiced in CEQA, land use, water rights throughout the Bay Area and throughout the state. He's nationally recognized as a leading environmental lawyer. And he's also, in his youth, he had experience with the other side, which in my opinion is critical because it gives you insight into the game plan that the other side may have drafted up against what you plan to do. So that provides critical experience, knowledge, and expertise which we need on the Board of Supervisors. And that is, frankly, the best lawyer you could have, somebody who did work for the other side. So at any rate, Kevin welcomes as well public participation in the process. We, I think, over the years have come to view our current leadership in the Pink Palace as shutting us out from the process. The process is deliberately opaque so that we have no clue what's going on. We don't get any information from our elected officials, with the exception of people such as Linda Pfeiffer, Larkspur City Councilwoman. And behind her stands a man who could speak volumes about what it takes to get a response from the people running our government. Bruce Corcoran from Strawberry. Petitioned his supervisor, Kate Sears, to put on the agenda for the Board of Supervisors the Strawberry PDA. It took him 16 times before that happened. 16 times, that's extraordinary, but because of his perseverance that happened. But he's not running, we don't care about him. But it's time to end this backroom dealing where we're brought in at the last minute as window dressing for deals that have already been struck. This is our process and we have to take it back. We have to have somebody who listens to us, who respects our opinions, and the man who will do that is Kevin Haroff. He advocates for that. And
you can actually applaud about that.
Yeah, you should applaud that. And I am not the only one who's made that observation. If you picked up the IJ last week, and I won't shame people in this room and having them admit if you get the IJ, but at any rate, even he noted that Kevin Haroff is an advocate for opening up the public process to the people. And I think he needs, as we did just now, you need to applaud him for that. It's time for new leadership in District 2. It's time that our district is represented by a supervisor who's actually elected to the position and not appointed. Which we have not had for, in my calculation, 7 terms.
Wow.
And there's something you should remember. I wish I came up with this quote on my own, but I didn't. I'm borrowing it from a biography I'm reading on Senator Charles Sumner. And when he ran for political office the first time, the newspapers that supported him pointed out, and it's the same with Kevin, that political office is neither hereditary nor perpetual. These offices belong to us, they belong to the people, and this is the man who will represent us, and I am extremely, extremely pleased that we have somebody of his caliber running, and that he he gave in to our begging, our cajoling, and said, "I will run."
Thank you, Joe. I was kind of thinking while Joe was talking, there's a commercial that's going on right now for some, I don't know what it is, some accounting firm where they're introducing a person who shows up. He's supposed to be like a high-tech person who shows up on stage after somebody's introduced him to great applause. And he says, "Oh, great, that's fine. Thank you very much. Now I got to catch a plane." I don't have to catch planes, but I do have to have a microphone. Is that better? It's not better. Is that better? I gotta talk right into it. I'll do that. Which means I can't look at my notes. Which is fine. Thank you for coming tonight. I really appreciate this. I am totally gratified that you all are all here tonight. It's amazing to me that people have stood up in support of what we're trying to accomplish. I have to start with my remarks by just reflecting for a moment on today's day. A year from now, actually a year and 1 day from now, is the election. June 7th, 2016. 2016, right, I'm jumping ahead of myself. That will be the next election for 3 open seats on the Board of Supervisors for Marin County. And I'm here to announce formally, which I haven't done before, but I am tonight, that I am running for one of those seats. And we are going to win. Yes. I have to, and I didn't include this in my little, let's prepare, I'm about to throw away. There. The other reason that this date is actually kind of significant to me, personally, is because I'm kind of a fan of World War II. I'm not a fan of World War II. It's not something you should be a fan of. But I like to think about it and read a lot of books and do things. And today is actually an important date for those of us who remember World War II. You're coming up, grabbing this way.
I'm going to be your stand.
I can do it. I'll do it that way.
Get used to it.
I'm doing my best. I got my daughter here to help me out. Thank you. Who I will introduce in a moment. Today is June 6th. And for those of you who remember what happened, I think 71 years ago, this is the anniversary of the invasion of Europe by Allied soldiers. And it took about a year for those brave soldiers to reestablish democracy in the world. And I know we're not doing this here in Marin, and it's kind of a grand analogy to make. But I think it's an appropriate one, quite frankly, because I think we have a mission here in Marin County. And it's a mission to reestablish the focus on democracy, electoral process, and accomplishing what we need to accomplish for all of you, and not for the interests that have been driving our politics in this county for the last 30 years, frankly, that I've lived here. So I really do want to thank you all for coming here, and that's really important. I do want to, some of you may know who I am. Some of you may have been introduced to me through the process that we went through in the Larkspur Station Area Plan. And I do understand that many people kind of look at me as a person who has stood up in this process because of opposition to development, as represented by what we almost had happen here in Larkspur with the Station Area Plan. And that's true. I am absolutely opposed to the thrust that we've been experiencing with the approval of our elected officials here in Marin to transform Marin County into an urbanized, transit-oriented development that is not consistent with anything that any of us who either were born here, who moved here, and grew up here wanted or want in the future. I want everyone to understand in this room that I am unequivocally committed to opposing that kind of development. And whether it's Wind Cup, you can have some applause with that if you want. Whether it's Wind Cup, whether it's Grady Ranch, whether it's any of the other proposed developments that have been endorsed by our current County Board of Supervisors for this county, that is not going to happen if you all are generous enough to elect me to the Board of Supervisors for Marin County. I just also want to re-emphasize something that Joan said. I am really grateful and honored for the opportunity to be here tonight. I really am. This was not my idea. I want people to understand that. I ran for the very first time for political office just barely 2 years ago for the Larkspur City Council, and I was grateful to get elected to that. It was through the process that we went through early on, mostly focused, but not exclusively focused, on the station area plan and my opposition to that, which was not something that I did by any means by myself. And I want everyone to understand that every one of you in this room who stood up with your red shirts or your hands or whatever it is that you did to stop that process, that was all up to you. And you are the ones who did that. And I am just grateful, frankly, for the opportunity to have been part of what you accomplished in that. But we're not done. We have a lot of work to do. We've seen that through decisions and approval processes that the county has already gone through just in the last year. I've stood up in Board of Supervisors meetings. I know for a fact that many of the people here in this room have also gone to those meetings and stood up against those processes. And frankly, we've all been blown off.
That's no problem.
And that has got to stop. But the only way that it's going to stop is by electing people like Susan over there. And maybe even me. To change the dynamics on the Board of Supervisors from what it has been for way too long. It's really kind of a theme, and Joan highlighted this. It's been almost 25 years since our representative in District 2 has been an initially elected official. Katie Rice was appointed. Her predecessor, Hal Brown, initially was appointed. They both won subsequent elections, but they won those elections based on the fact that they were incumbents. We have to stop the tradition in this county of completely recycling incumbents. We have to have people who get on to important elected positions, like the Board of Supervisors, because they're elected. Because people actually want them to be there, not because they have a connection or a friend or something that allows them to be stuck onto that office and they can just keep doing it every 4 years, forever and ever and ever. That process has to stop. Thank you. I got like a fist bump over there. No. But it's true, and that is really the main reason that I'm running. I'm not just standing up here because I'm opposed to development. I understand we need certain types of development. I've stood up within our Larkspur City Council meetings, and I have endorsed affordable housing, but from a certain perspective, not from the perspective that allows us to go out and just say we're going to find some undeveloped or underdeveloped piece of property and we're going to build some big box something or other that looks like, Stalin approved it, like they have over in Fort Madero. Sorry for the young folks in the room for the Stalin reference. But it's true. It's awful. And we don't need that. And we don't want that. But I want people to also understand that this campaign is not just about stopping bad development. It's an important part. It's the reason that I stood up. And I'm also actually for something. And I want people to understand that coming out of this meeting, that that's really what we're all about. We're about looking forward in this county. We're not just trying to ossify this place and take it back to a time that existed many, many years ago and we all are nostalgic for. We need to understand that this is the 21st century, not the 20th century. That we do need to respect the needs of folks who want to live in this community. We do need to encourage affordable housing in ways that make sense and that are consistent with the character of our community. We need to stand up for the environmental character of this community. No, we absolutely do. We need to make sure that processes that are going forward right now, and I've seen some of these processes firsthand, that are trying to turn Marin County and essentially into an amusement park. To take Muir Woods, to take San Quentin, to transform those precious resources that we all have a custodial relationship to, and take them and make them something that no one of us here would recognize. We can't let that happen. And I am absolutely bound and determined to support changes to the agreements that have been reached with respect to Muir Woods, and to make sure that Muir Woods is a resource that is taken care of in perpetuity, not just for this generation, for every generation that comes after us. We have an obligation to stand up against proposals that have been bandied around about the San Quentin Peninsula. We've seen over just the last couple of weeks various proposals, some of them kind of subtle, some of them not so subtle, that will ultimately lead towards the transformation of that peninsula into something that we don't need in this county. We need to stand up to our elected officials. We need to have elected officials who can participate in that process and stop the transformation of this county into an amusement park. Because that is absolutely what it's happening. We have to stand up and prevent proposals from some of our elected officials to introduce inappropriate chemicals into our watershed, into our public lands. And I want to make sure nobody has any doubts about my position with respect to that. That is a wrong thing to do. We need to stop it. We need to stand up to the water district. We need to stand up to the county. We need to make sure that the use of glyphosate, as we have in Larkspur, is ended in Marin County. We also have to do other things as well to protect the environment of our county. We have to do something important and reasonable and material about traffic. I cannot tell you how many conversations that I have had within the Larkspur City Council and within our community about how traffic has become a crushing influence on our character of our community. It just has. And there are, in fact, things that we can do, and we should not be held up in accomplishing those things because of decision-making processes that are being endorsed by special interests that have nothing to do with the interests of the community at large. We really have to put an end to that. We need to open up the third lane on the bridge. That's easy. But we also need to make sure that we take traffic off of St. Francis Strait and direct that traffic off of that right away and onto the bridge. I apologize to anyone who's from San Rafael in here, but into San Rafael and onto the bridge from that direction. We have to get it off of St. Francis Strait. We just have to. And we can actually do that, but we need to have the political will to do that. We also have to do pension reform in this county. You know, I've had an opportunity to be introduced to that issue while on the Larkspur City Council because we have historically an unfunded obligation to our public employees for non-pension related benefits that we've basically blown off as a county, and everybody else has done. The grand jury wrote a report about this 2 years ago. It's a travesty. We need to take care of our public employees, but we need to do it in a way that is fiscally responsible and represents the interests of people who actually pay the bills. And that is not a CalPERS issue, that is a Marin issue, and we have to double down and focus on that, and I'm absolutely prepared to do that in ways in which our existing board is not. And last but not least, we have to have an open government process in Marin County. We really do. I am amazed. And it's really been a learning experience for me, quite honestly. because I've had opportunities to meet with members of the board, to go to board meetings, to be engaged, and to see actually what happens. It is not open. It is not transparent. It is not anything like I understood we should be doing as Americans when I went to civics in 6th grade. This is different, and we should not tolerate that. And the only way that we can stop it is to elect new officials onto the Board of Supervisors. That is absolutely the only way to do it. So I don't want anyone here to be under any illusion. And I have to tell this story. My wife Donalyn, who's in the back, and I got to introduce my family here in a minute. We had an opportunity last week. Donald was taking my daughter Sarah, who's off somewhere, to a birthday party.
Behind you.
Where is she? There she is. There she is. With her friend Annalie and other friends. They were going to a birthday party, and Donalyn actually was taking her up there and was driving back. And I hope I don't break into tears when I tell you the story, but I might. But she picked up the mother of one of Sarah's friends, who was also going to the birthday party. And this person actually lives in an apartment in Kentfield, and she was walking home. We live in Greenbrae, and she was walking home. Donalyn picked her up and said, "Please come in and have a glass of water, have something to drink. Just join us for a few minutes." And we brought her in, into our home, and we sat out in the backyard. And it was almost embarrassing. This is a person who had left her life, and I'm not going to get into the details because I don't want to disclose her identity, but she came here a year ago from one of the most, frankly, war-torn places in the Middle East, which is a source of civil strife and violence that none of us can really appreciate. And we just sat out in our backyard for 10 minutes. And we just wanted to talk to her. And she wanted to talk to us. And we told her how fortunate we are to live where we are. But we're coming from it from a perspective of this is where we live. We take it for granted. We understand all of it. This is a person who didn't have a clue. She did not have a clue. But she understood what a beautiful place this was. And as we were telling her how lucky we are to live in Marin County, she just looked at us and she just kind of paused for a minute and said, "Yes, this is paradise." Those are her words. This is paradise. For those of us who have lived here like I have for 3 decades, we're kind of used to living in paradise. We take it for granted. We can't. We have to step up, as I hope I am doing today, and take care as custodians and caretakers of this beautiful, wonderful place that we live in. We cannot let other people do that for us. We have to do it ourselves. And I would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you in discharging that obligation to this community by having you elect me to the Marin County Board of Supervisors. I want to thank everyone who came today. And actually, I know some people have dinner reservations and things like that, so folks who would need to leave, do what you need to do. But, I want people to get to know me. And if people have questions or want to talk to me about where I come from, my background, what is important to me, I want people to do that. I got nothing to hide here. I have everything to be open about. I have a lovely family. My wife Donalyn is somewhere. If she could wave her hand. And you can come up and stand next to me, that would be nice. Because she's a heck of a lot better looking than I am. And my son Chris, who's actually managing the AV system in the back. Give him applause. My older daughter Allison and her significant other, Chris number 2, as we like to call him. Can you please raise your hands? And last but not least, as I have pointed out before, my beautiful daughter, Sarah Marie Shan Haroff. Stand up, please. Sarah is a 7th grader at Kent Middle School, and I have to tell you, one of the main reasons that I'm doing what I'm doing here today is because of her. Because I want this place to be a place that she will be proud to live in for generations to come, as do we all.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot. You want to say something?
I just want to say thank you everyone for coming. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we have a ton of wine, and I'm sure lots of beer. I know people do have to go out, but you know what? We have this place until midnight, so if y'all want to have it, please feel free.